Well, now they're taking a look at review velocity, which is the overall number of reviews that you have, but then over the last 6 months of how many new reviews have you got. So it's starting to give, and we're even seeing some of our clients that are newer in business, or they were in business forever, but they didn't really push on Google reviews, starting to get some ground because they're getting more reviews over a monthly period on average than their competitors are.
Welcome back to the Elite Business Advice podcast. My name is Chris Moore, the founder of Elite Business Advisors, the host of the Elite Business Advice podcast here. My question for you today is, how many times have you heard the term digital marketing? And maybe when I said that, you just shuddered a little bit just from hearing that word. Maybe you've got a little PTSD from a bad experience with a marketing agency, or maybe digital marketing just seems so overwhelming to you that you can't even wrap your head around it. And I understand that. But there's also a lot of things you can do yourself to help your digital footprint that exists on, Google and all the online platforms and stuff. And so today I've got a good friend of mine with me, Adam McChesney. Adam is the CEO and founder of Builders of Authority, a St. Louis-based digital marketing agency here. Adam and I've got to become good friends here over the last couple of years. I just had a podcast with him a few weeks ago. It was good to hang out in person. And they specialize in digital marketing and personal branding for home service businesses all over the country. One thing I've appreciated about Adam is the way he's been able to appropriately grow his business and continue to serve more business owners across the country while keeping the quality of what they do with their clients high. We've seen that a lot. Unfortunately, a lot of agencies try to grow and scale, and then the quality diminishes, and then reputation gets hurt, and it just isn't a great situation, right? And I appreciate the way Adam's been able to grow his business over the years to continue to be able to serve more people, but doing it in the manner in which the quality doesn't diminish. And I appreciate his values. I appreciate his approach and how he handles himself. He honestly aligns perfectly with us here at EBA. It's been great to reconnect with him here recently, just in kind of what we believe in the experience that we feel like our contractors should have. And so that's why he's on here with us today, always leading with value, because I know that's one of his core values as well. So I hope it helps. Thanks for plugging in. This is the Elite Business Advice podcast. Adam, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Chris. I'm excited. It was a great episode that we did here at my office at Adventurenome a couple weeks ago. And so I'm excited to be on the other end right now.
Yeah, no, it's fun, man. I always love doing podcast swaps with people, and it's fun. Usually I'm always going first on it, so it was cool to be on the other end of it on yours first and stuff. So just tell everybody kind of a little bit about yourself and kind of how Builders of Authority came to be to what it is today, man.
Yeah, so Adam McChesney, born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri, lived here pretty much my entire life, married to my wife, Delaney. We have a 2.5-year-old Murphy, and our dog, Georgie. And kind of how I got into digital marketing, I spent 5 years in medical device sales. Okay. And so right out of college, I kind of thought that was what I was going to always do. Ended up working at a company called ResMed. So those of you that are familiar with CPAP equipment, the devices, the masks, ventilators, even before they were popular in the pandemic, that's what I sold. And I managed about a $25 million a year territory in the state of Missouri and a little bit on the Metro East and the Illinois side. And, with that, I was having the money. I had the flexibility to make what I wanted, but at the same time, I was traveling all the time. And so it felt like there was something missing still. And so I was just proposed to my wife, Delaney, in 2018. And I was sitting in a hotel room 2 days before Thanksgiving. And I was like, man, this is going to be rough. I'm going to have to get home tomorrow, start Thanksgiving. I'm going to be tired, exhausted. And it's just not what I wanted to do the rest of my life. So that night I typed into Google how to make money online. Yeah. And I came across an ad that I had been retargeted by on Facebook that basically sold the idea that I could build a digital real estate portfolio, which in 2018 was kind of like unheard of for the most part. And it taught me, so I bought the course for $7,000 right. And it taught me how to build websites, set up Google business profiles back in the day when you could just get a postcard, mailed to you with a
the
code.
Good old days.
The glory days, right? Yeah. And so then it taught me how to rank those, and then eventually I bought courses on paid ads, and I was kind of hooked. So I was doing that on the side, and I built 200 websites before I ever sold one. I started to flip them and also sell leads and just act as a digital landlord. So I had a great kind of experience of case studies and results and
Yep.
all these things. And then the pandemic happened and it allowed me to go full time in July 2020. So it'll be 6 years
Nice.
in a couple of months. And over that time, I was running my own agency. Then I became a franchisee of a digital marketing agency. Then I became a partner at that agency. Ended up leaving that agency in 2024. Had a little bit of a fun little legal situation. Also had a non-compete. So I kind of
Yep.
took some time off and started Builders of Authority in November of 2023, where I initially was teaching people how to build a personal brand
Yep.
and grow their business, whatever industry that was in. I did some coaching, consulting, some CMO stuff. And then in October of 2024, we relaunched our digital marketing agency and have grown a lot over the last 18 or so months, have
Yep.
42 full-time employees
Yep.
and working with about 80 or so businesses across the country in the contracting and home services space.
That's awesome, man. It's a cool journey. I always love like the journey side of hearing, just how it's come to be, right? Everybody always asks me the same question and stuff, and it's just cool to see how one Google search has turned into you and I sitting here today doing these podcasts, right? So
Wow.
it is, man. It really is. So, no, I think you laid the groundwork well with this. Like I said, I appreciate the way that you handle yourself, the way that you lead with value, and you're here to serve others, right? I think you guys have built a great business around what you guys do and the results you can deliver for people. So, so just for a painting business owner who's listening to this, maybe they're doing kind of good sized volume, right? The revenue's good, but they've really just done it. They cowboyed their way there, right? They're through word of mouth, referrals, repeat business, all that fun stuff. Where do you tell them to even start in this digital footprint? Like, what's the okay, you've never messed with this a day in your life. Here's where we need to get started at.
Yeah. So I always talk about two different things. I talk about understanding your baseline, and then I
Yep.
talk about low hanging fruit. So when we're talking about understanding your baseline, I was talking with somebody up at Adventure Unknown actually this morning. They're starting a new business, and they were like wanting to hire me for this big complex website. And I was like, man, you're going from 0 to 100. Like you need a landing page up there right now, and in some instances to even validate the idea
Yeah.
in business and make sure that like everything's checking out, right? And so that's the first place that I tell people to start is like you need to understand your baseline of where things are at. And so once you've identified what that baseline is, then from there it's like, okay, hey, this is how we kind of grow and then we can scale it from there.
Yep.
And then with that is starting with the low hanging fruit. So if you're not posting once a week on your Google business profile, if you're not getting high quality Google reviews, both in quantity and quality, then you're leaving money on the table because those are free and easy things that you can do to drive your business forward. If you're not posting organically on your own Adam and Chris Facebook pages, if you're not posting on your, company Facebook profile, trying to go spend a bunch of money, whether that's on PPC or Facebook ads, is really not going to be the recommended place to start. Now, once you've done all those things, then with revenue coming in and profitability inside of your business and a solid growth plan, that's when it makes sense to start adding some additional things on and seeing what you can't do to kind of go and grow and scale the business.
Yep. Now that's good. So you mentioned the Google business profile, right? It kind of seems like a no-brainer. What I see a lot of people do is they set it up, they get the verification, which again used to be a postcard. Now it's a few more steps complicated more than that. I'm not excited to move our office and deal with all that, but we'll get through it. But what are a couple of things they should actively be doing? So you mentioned posting at least once a week. What's like the ideal recommended cadence that you guys see on that?
Yep. So posting once a week, and with that is having a keyword driven approach as it relates to the ideal service that you want to grow inside of your business, right? So residential versus commercial, interior versus exterior painting, like all of those different things. And then if you're in St. Louis as an example, and there's all the little suburbs in and around St. Louis, you probably want to incorporate some of those suburb keyword targetings as an example from a job that you recently completed with a picture. From
Nice.
there, you want to make sure that you're uploading that image to the Google business profile with a correct file name. And so with that is you don't just want to take it off your iPhone or your Android or whatever, or take it off your computer, download it from Facebook, and then put it there. You want to actually, and you can go to ChatGPT or whatever AI tool and say, hey, I'm uploading this picture to my Google Business profile. Tell me exactly how I should name this file. And it may ask some additional questions like, what is this actually a picture of? Where is this located? And then instead of like image 12345, it's saying residential painting company in St. Louis, Missouri, as an example. So that's how you kind of maximize that aspect of it. Then from there, you want to make sure that the profile as well, that was kind of probably step number one, is it's optimized to the fullest. So you have the business description. If you log into your profile, you'll see a circle next to three little dots. You want to make sure that that circle is green. If it's not green, go fill out everything that's on there so it can be fully optimized. Then you want to add 10 new additional photos every single month. So photos are going to be separate from the posts, but you still can title them the exact same way as I mentioned before. You want to add 10 new of those a month. But probably the biggest thing, and I know a lot of people are probably going to hear this and say, yeah, I know, is the Google reviews. That's the thing that you can have a brand new business and really jump up the map pack inside of Google searches by just getting a ton of both quality and quantity reviews. And when it comes to a quality review, make sure, if at all possible, the person leaving the review leaves it with a picture. So even if you take an end project picture, you can still send it to Chris, and if Chris is leaving a review, encourage him to upload that photo there, but have them explain their overall experience, why they chose to work with you, where the project was located, and if it was at their home or business, and exactly what it was that you did for them. That is worth 10 blah or okay Google business reviews.
That's good, man. You just gave so much gold in like a minute and a half there. So thanks for giving both of us a lot of clips to cut from this already. No, I think that, again, I appreciate you kind of laying that out, in simplistic form. And this is what I've honestly experienced. And this is why I wanted you to come on here and share some of these things, is like most contractors are just like, I don't even know, right? We set up Google Business Profile. We did the verification when we had our office space, and like we haven't touched it since then, right? And there's so many things that, as you mentioned, right? Like when you start hiring an agency to do stuff for you, there's so many foundational things that should be being done before that is free, right? Yeah. Uploading photos is free. Retitling them with the right file name. I actually hadn't heard that one, so I was over here making some notes too on a couple of things. Getting Google reviews, right? And I appreciate the added context about uploading a picture and with the area that they're in, and like, hey, could you just add like a few details, like. And I think it's almost even a good thing to provide the homeowner leaving the review with like a framework of what to include, right? Because half the time they're like, I don't know what to say. Like, the experience was great. Chris was awesome. Like whatever. It's like, hey, here's all I need you to do. Just what do we do for you? Where do you live at? Like, etc. I think giving them that framework could even be a benefit to them, right? Some people, I'm sure, listening to this are like, oh, I don't want to tell them what they have to say. No, they may actually appreciate you leading them with a framework to make that easier for them, right?
Yeah.
So
absolutely. I was going to say is, so one of the things that we did, and it worked extremely well. So I didn't share, but I owned an auto glass company for about 4.5 years that I literally started off of one of those first 200 websites that I built back in 2018. And we just sold that company back in October of 2025. And right now, I think the company, because we still do their marketing, is still like right around 700 Google reviews. So the number one locally owned and operated non-franchise business in terms of overall number of reviews. And we did two things. We had a QR code on a flyer that told them hit these bullet points on the Google review. And so we had that. And with that, it was also promoting like our referral program. So send our information to somebody the next time they need our services, and we'll send you a $25 Amazon gift card. So it's kind of like, hey, here's how to write a good review, and then here's information about our referral program. And then on the other hand, we had an air freshener with our logo on one side and the link to the QR code to the Google review on the other, because we're repairing and replacing the windshields and different glass inside the vehicle, right? And so then they would put it in there, and it would just be hanging there People are talking about it, whatever. But we just made it easy for them to leave the Google review.
Yep. And I think that's a big thing. I mean, I've talked on the show many times about having like a closeout SOP for your lead, your project manager, whatever, right? And I think that that's something that the structure behind that is something where a lot of home service businesses, painting contractors in general, it's like, yeah, we had the postcards, and an hour before we were done, our crew lead was grabbing the homeowner, doing a walkthrough. Hey, great, Chris already sent over the final invoice. While we're getting the final touches done, we're cleaned up, we're packing up our stuff. Like on the back here, we have a QR code to our Google review page. Like exactly, right? And when you've got a good structured process that gets followed 85-90% of the time, you're going to get results, right?
Yep.
And when there is no process, there is no expectation, we don't even ask for the reviews, you're going to trickle in a couple here and there, right? What is like, and I know it can be different to scale based on how many customers you have each month, but like what is a good number of Google reviews to be getting to help, in that area?
So that's a great question. And one of Google's main ranking factors right now is review velocity.
Okay.
And so this is actually the most important thing. I would recommend everybody take a look at their market. So you go type in painter, St. Louis, painting company, St. Louis, whatever the main keyword is that you're trying to go for. And then you need to take a look at where you're at in terms of overall number of Google reviews. And then within the last 6 months, how many reviews you've had every single month.
Okay.
And then you need to take a look at the same thing for your competitors. And so, yes, it can be a little bit hard to like identify, well, was this last month, was this March, or was this April or whatever, but you can use ChatGPT or Claude or whatever to also get those things down. And so with that is Google used to reward, no matter how long you've been in business, the most number of reviews. And even if you haven't had a review in 90 days, you were still sitting front and center. Well, now they're taking a look at review velocity, which is the overall number of reviews that you have, but then over the last 6 months of how many new reviews have you gotten. So it's starting to give, and we're even seeing some of our clients that are newer in business or they were in business forever, but they didn't really push on Google reviews, starting to get some ground because they're getting more reviews over a monthly period on average than their competitors are. And so in some markets, that's going to be a lot. And in other markets that are more rural, or if you don't have very many competitors that have a lot of reviews, it's going to be less. So instead of trying to educate people like I used to say, hey, just go get a ton or, get 20% of your jobs and get them done, is you actually want to play towards the algorithm and understand that review velocity, because then when I used to tell people, and I get it, hey, just go get more reviews, there's nothing really tied to that. But now when you're like, hey, no, what's your average on a monthly period over the last 6 months versus your competitors? Now it becomes a game with a reward at the end.
Yep. I love that, man. And I think, a whole lot, and I talked to you, Jeff Fitzer is a good friend of mine. He deals with a lot of stuff on the social media side of things too, especially personal branding and like organic stuff. He's talked a lot about the algorithms, right? And I think the whole key to everything in this digital world we live in is understanding how the algorithm works and how that becomes specific to you, right?
Yep.
That there's things when you're on social media that boost your, I always call it an algorithm score, for lack of a better term, right? Like a credit score. There's things that help it, there's things that hurt it, right? And I think it's the same thing with Google. And when you start to understand like how Google is manufacturing and looking at this stuff, that it's not about getting 3 new reviews a month or 5 new reviews a month. It's like, hey, here's the actual science to go figure out what's going to be good for you, right? What does that number look like? And I think, obviously for a lot of people listening to this, something's better than nothing, right? Get as many as you possibly can. If you're only turning over 4 jobs a week or 3 jobs a week, you're obviously going to be maxed at how many you can get, but it's something to keep in mind, right?
Yep.
Of if you need to really bump that up a little bit, how do we try to get more jobs accomplished, right? That's a whole nother conversation to have, obviously, but no, I think that's some great insight. I appreciate you sharing, not just, hey, here's a number, but hey, here's how to actually think through to get the number that makes sense for you based on, all the factors. I appreciate your approach on that. So, all right. So beyond Google Business, reviews, etc., what are some of the easiest kind of things that the painting contractors can do to improve their local SEO? Again, without running ads or doing some of that stuff. Like, is there anything else beyond the Google Business side of it that they can do to help that?
Yeah. So one of the biggest aspects and questions we're getting asked is, hey, how do I rank in AI? And the reality is like it's the same thing as how to rank in Google. There's different factors here and there, but like the best SEO practices that we've ever implemented inside of a client's account to rank on Google are the same things that are going over there. With
Yep.
one of the biggest pieces is being new content.
Got it.
So in our agency, starting in month 2, once we kind of fix the foundation for our clients, we add 10 new pages a month for our clients. And these are pages that our clients could have added before they came to us or try to do it on their own. And I always recommend people doing it. You can always go back and make it look nicer or better, but you can't get back the time that you're taking away from getting this content indexed. And so those look like city pages, right? So if you're in St. Louis, you serve a 30-mile radius, let's call it. Well, every single suburb, city, and town, even if it's 5,000 people, you want to have a dedicated page on your website that talks about all the different services that you do, but directly to that city. And then from there, you would eventually build out, if you do both residential and commercial services, as an example, it would be like city plus residential. And then eventually down to any project you do from a keyword standpoint, having that page plus that city. Now, some people are like, wow, I only have like a landing page on my website right now. Well, then you'd want to make sure you have a service page for every single service you offer,
Yep.
split residential versus commercial. And then from there, start to write blogs too. Those are things that will get picked up, not just in Google, but also in ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, Claude, all of those different places that kind of work hand in hand off of each other for you to be able to rank in a service area.
That's good, man. That's good. So you mentioned the location specific, the neighborhood specific. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard that's a huge thing when it comes to SEO, website, just having the foundations in place. Like you should have location-based pages set up in there, correct?
Absolutely. So a lot of people are like, well, hey, I service a 30-mile radius, and like 30 miles from my office is a great affluent area where a bunch of people are getting stuff redone, right? I want to go do that. Well, your map, your Google business profile is not going to rank 30 miles away, as a lot of marketers will tell you, no, we can make it work. But what can actually move the needle is you have that page on your website dedicated to that area,
Yeah.
and you end up building out 10 to 15 pages down to that city that's 30 minutes from you. Well, from an SEO perspective, Google's going to rank you as if you were in their backyard because there's so much dedicated content on your website to that city.
Makes sense. That's good. Question for you. How effective is AI like in creating some of the SEO content as far as helping get discovered on things?
Yeah.
Is that something that you guys are recommending people do? And I'm asking too, because like truthfully on this podcast, we've really switched to leveraging more AI stuff, or we'll write a description and then have AI, retweak it to be more SEO focused for painting contractors to hopefully find our podcast, right? So I'm curious, what's your take on that with leveraging AI and just SEO stuff in general?
Yeah. So, and this is it's a very interesting dichotomy of like
Yeah.
what's real versus what's not. Is there actual data out there? What has all of these different platforms truly came out and said, right? And so I'll preface it by saying that. And then from there, I always go back to Google, right? So Google is obviously the gold standard in this stuff. And then these other platforms are taking a look at Google's algorithm and making some deviations and focus on a couple things here and a couple things there.
Yeah.
But in reality, Google has not necessarily said and came out that says, hey, AI content will penalize your website. But a lot of their updates that they've had also doesn't say that.
Yeah.
And it kind of, with some of the things that we're seeing out there, there's plenty of things that would lead to believe that Google, one, obviously knows if it's AI or not. And from there, they're looking at it differently. Not saying you're going to get penalized, but they're looking at it differently. And then from there, if you're using AI to write all of your content, will that help out directly inside of AI? The answer is no. Now, again, it may not hurt, but if somebody is typing in best painter near me in ChatGPT and then they're doing it in Google too, you're going to find relatively very similar things. And so in terms of the sources that were generated from Google to AI to et cetera. And so if it's not ranking in Google it's likely not going to rank in AI either.
Yep.
So I tell people is just be cautious. Now, again, it kind of goes back to, is my only option to use AI?
Yeah.
You rather throw it out there and go fix it and
Yep.
make it, as long as it's not like overboard. But then even when because I still have like one of our most expensive departments from an overhead standpoint is still my content writers.
Yeah.
The ones that write the Google Business Profile post, the ones that write the content for the website, is because we're using AI to ideate and do industry research and to figure out trends and to truly understand our client's brand voice and all those different things. And then it's a guiding force to still go right. And I believe that that's kind of the next phase of all this stuff. The people that are continuing to do it with the help of AI will be further along than the people that just use it AI end to end.
Yep. No, I think that's good, man. And I think that's, I'm anxious to see what this whole world holds in like 3 years, right? As quickly as this stuff's changing. But I think it's good. And I mean, again, to your point, like it's better than not doing anything, right? But I had a feeling that that's exactly what you were going to say. So, all right, I got 3 questions left for you.
Yep.
Number 1, we talk a lot about local service ads, GLSAs,
Yep.
Google local service ads, used to be Google guaranteed, Google verified. I feel like it's had like 8 different names if I'm being honest, but
Yep.
we talk about that a lot. We see that as a very high ROI with all of our clients that we're tracking marketing data on as far as spend versus revenue sold from that source.
Yep.
What's your take on it? How do you see that fitting into this whole big strategy, right? And then what's your take on the LSAs?
Yeah, so I've been a huge fan of LSAs since they really came out in like 2019,
Yeah.
2020, because you're kind of playing with house money, right? If you monitor it correctly. And so you're paying per lead versus paying per click. So I tell people all the time is, if you're actually getting leads in and they're not good, you're going to get a credit back most likely.
Yeah.
From there, there's basically 3 options. They're going to go with you, they're going to go with your competitor, or they're not going to do the job. I would rather take that opportunity than a lot of the other marketing platforms that are out there. Now, in 2020 and 2021, it was less people that were signed up
Yeah.
for whatever reason. Part of it is just education and adoption. Part of it is maybe people didn't have the licensing or the insurance that they needed in order to do X, Y, and Z project. So it's gotten more difficult to have it create the same amount of lead flow for the same cost as it did years and years ago.
Yeah.
And I knew people that literally were running their entire business off of Google reviews, word of mouth, organic social media, and LSA. It's just not there anymore because it's more competitive. It's a crowded space. It's also more expensive. And then from there, they're doing it where they're trying to encourage somebody that's filling out an LSA form or making a call to also contact 3 other businesses.
Right.
So Google's trying to like say, hey, we know we were making you a bunch of money. Now it's our turn to do the same thing. So it's not what it used to be, but when done correctly and you're monitoring it. So we install call tracking numbers for our clients to be able to get all that information back. And then from there, taking a look at, hey, where do we get credits back, rate the individual lead, and then leave notes in there and then mark them booked when it is obviously a solid lead that you get the job from.
That's good, man. That's good. So again, not something else you just set up and forget it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Monitor it, keep up with it, take advantage of it. I feel like the LSAs, what you just shared, is a perfect journey we see just in marketing and as a whole. And I get like an outside looking in perspective on what you guys deal with on a daily basis too. It's like, okay, this thing is working, right? And within 2 to 3 years, the education gets out and everybody flocks to it, which then to some degree dilutes it, right? Like think back when Facebook ads were like, if you were doing it, you were successful, right? And then everybody went to Facebook ads, right? And then it, again, the only same amount of people on Facebook still. So it's diluted a little bit, right? And now LSAs, you're starting to see that same trend, right? And so it's always kind of like, what's the next thing to get into before it becomes mainstream, right? And not that there's an answer to that, right? And sometimes it's hard to have that crystal ball and see this or that. But it's, I feel like that's a natural cycle of any new sources that are performing really well is they perform well, education gets out, everybody goes to it, they come down to normal, and then it's on to the next thing. So, any thoughts? Do you have any other like ideas or where things are heading or where you guys are recommending anybody to, or just continuing to have a good diversified approach?
I think diversity is huge. We're seeing a lot of people go back to Facebook ads, and we're
Yep.
having some success there, assuming that our clients are willing and able to create a bunch of content.
Yeah, that's the
So, and
biggest
I'm
thing.
not talking about like over edited stuff. I'm talking about you taking out your phone and just doing before and after, getting customer testimonial videos, like the most basic stuff. Some of our clients are having like ridiculous success there because Facebook's algorithm, and they've kind of came out and said this, is like you don't need to be so amazing at targeting like you used to have to be. Like, we're going to put your ad based on how other people navigate on Facebook. And so we're seeing a lot of people create revenue and generate revenue where they've never really had success on Facebook before. And then some of our clients in some of the more competitive markets, so like here in St. Louis with one of our clients on the roofing side. So we again work with contractors across
Yeah.
multiple different verticals. We have a tree company in Wisconsin, and then we have a remodeler down in Florida. They're actually having a lot of success on Bing ads.
Interesting.
So because the cost per clicks are so expensive on Google, we're still running their Google ads, but we took back some of that budget and started to put it towards Bing. And it's about half the cost per click, usually a little bit older in terms of the population that's on there. So
Yeah.
they're less worried about like pricing. Like they're just seem to be higher quality, obviously
Yep.
less quantity, but
Right.
it's an interesting, dichotomy
Yeah.
that people are still on Bing and clicking ads.
It's crazy, man. I always forget about the word Bing until you even say that, right? I hear Bing and I think Chandler Bing from
Yeah,
Friends. So
yeah, uh-huh.
that's good, man. All right, let's say you're a painting company. You guys are doing 500K to a million a year. You want to continue to scale and grow. Your marketing budget's a little bit limited, maybe $1,500, $2,500 a month.
Yep.
In that ballpark, how would you prioritize kind of where that money goes, across your whole kind of your marketing channels?
Yeah, so I would probably do LSA and Facebook ads
Okay.
in the very beginning if I had that, and not like a blown out Facebook ad campaign, but like
Yeah.
even as simple as like not boosting posts, but just doing awareness stuff on your brand, especially in areas where you're doing jobs. So a
Yes.
simple video where it's like, hey, what's up, everybody? It's Adam. I'm here in Fenton, Missouri. We just did a painting job at Adventure Unknown. We've been doing a lot of different business out here, and you're running a very time limited campaign. So then that way
Yeah.
you can go to the next area that you're kind of focused on. And then LSA, I think again is still kind of the
Yeah.
best ROI from anything that you've seen. And then, I mean, because when you're at that, I would be looking for immediacy. And then once
Yeah.
you can do a little bit more, that's when it's like, okay, hey, I can pay somebody to do SEO and the Google Business Profile stuff, and then
Yep.
eventually maybe expand on some of the Facebook stuff or whatever. But with that, I would also have kind of the digital plus in-person strategy where with door hangers and yard signs and all those things, I would be basically trying to turn that one job that I was doing with that Facebook ad and get stuff printed to kind of corner that area, and then go and knock a neighborhood and just try to have as many conversations as you possibly can, but put door hangers up, send some direct mail potentially to that
Yep.
area too. So, depending on how much you had in that budget, those are some things I would do. I tell a lot of people, a lot of digital marketers, it's funny, oh, don't do anything offline. All the money needs to go to digital. And then you have a lot of the direct mail people and the traditional mail. Oh, you only need to do direct mail. I'm
Yeah.
like, no, the best strategy is actually both.
Yeah.
If you can do it and afford it, that's where you're going to have the most success.
Dude, I love that. Anybody listening to this is going to think I paid you to say that, because that's exactly everything that I'll preach on this show and to our clients and stuff. So I love it. I love the perspective on it. And we talk a lot about being diversified across three buckets, right? You got your organic, word of mouth, repeat, referral, previous customers. You've got your digital marketing, which is all the online stuff we've been talking about. And then you've got your neighborhood marketing, which is everything you just mentioned with lawn signs, door hangers, direct mail, all that fun stuff. So you mentioned personal brand a couple times, and I want to wrap up with this question. How important is it for a painting business owner to be building their personal brand, as far as posting on their own personal social profiles and stuff, or is it not really necessary and just we need to focus on the business stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's absolutely necessary. It's going to take you about 90 days of consistency of posting to accomplish what would otherwise take you about 18 months on your business page. Because with your business page, Facebook eventually wants you to get frustrated and just start paying for ads, right? Which
Yep.
is what a lot of people end up succumbing to doing. With the personal side is that's how they end up spending or being able to charge people to show more ads to other people. So you're kind of playing this game, but with that is people and even more so now with all the AI stuff is people are going to do business with people that they know, like, and trust.
Yeah.
And so when they see it come from your personal page, there's just a different feeling. And with that, people get connected to the storytelling component. And I'm not saying just every single day try to sell your services, but consistency in posting, showing before and afters of projects, customer testimonials, going to networking events, being a part of the community, showing your family life, like whatever you feel comfortable doing. It's one of the biggest for contractors. It's one of the biggest hidden gems that's sitting literally right there in front of you that a lot of people are like, well, I don't know if it's going to work, or it takes a lot of consistency and I don't have like every excuse under the sun. I truly believe in most contracting businesses, and I know people who have built in every single industry, whether it's painting, remodeling, handyman work. Like, I truly believe with just, you know, your organic posting, you could easily get to $500,000 a year
Yep.
without anything else. If that's all that you did, got active in local Facebook groups, the I know a guy, I know a gal groups, the buy sell trade groups, the contractor, like all those local groups, there's just so much money to be had. But again, it does take consistency. It
Yes.
does take patience. It does take a little bit of strategy. But from there, it's not a lot of people are doing it. So I always tell people is no, when we were talking about LSA, not a lot of people were doing it back in the day. That's
Right.
why it made sense to do it, and you were having so much success. So I would definitely use it as a growth lever, and I think it is a nice to have for sure, but it's more than that at this point.
Yep. No, that's great, man. It's a great synopsis. And that's where like the term algorithm score kind of came in. That was one thing Jeff taught me many years ago was like, even if it's the 80-20 rule, right? 80% of your content on your personal page is like, personal focus. People engage with it. They love the families. They love all that stuff. The 20% is the business stuff where even if you're not getting a ton of engagement, people are seeing it, right? And that's where like having a good cadence in there is going to be huge. So, Adam, this has been great, man. I know you're going to come speak at our retreat this summer, so I'm super stoked to have you there. And then how can people get a hold of you, right? If they have questions, they want to learn more
Yeah.
about what you guys do and how you guys help. I know you're working with a couple of our clients right now. How can people get a hold of you? What's the best way to start a process with a discovery call?
Yeah, so you can go to buildauthority.com. You'll see an information on how to fill out a contact form, book a call with us, etc. You can connect with me on Facebook, Adam McChesney, always typically wearing the red shirt across all the different social media platforms. And then we do also have a free Facebook group called Builders of Authority. So I share tips on personal branding, digital marketing, just outside the box, and also strategies, trends, things like that on how to grow your business. So yeah, connect with us in one of those places or multiple of those places, and would love the opportunity to chat with you.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, thanks again for taking the time for this. I appreciate it. Again, I appreciate leading with value and so many nuggets that you shared throughout this call. I know will be super helpful to a lot of the listeners. So thanks for making time for it, man. And I appreciate you. And I'll see you at our retreat this summer.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks for plugging into this week's episode. I hope you're able to take a few nuggets away from it to implement into your business. Remember, knowledge without implementation is useless. If you're curious about what we do and how we help painting contractors all over North America, schedule a free business analysis meeting with us at www.elitebusinessadvisors.com. Our entire team of advisors have ran and managed painting companies just like myself and are here to help support you on your journey. We have packages available for contractors at every stage of business, from flying solo and just starting out, all the way to multi-million-dollar businesses. And lastly, if you loved this episode, please leave us a rating and a review. It helps others on the platform find our podcast, and it could be the best blessing that's ever happened to them thanks to you. Thanks for plugging in, and we'll see you back for next week's episode.